Hey, it's Gerald from Lakers Fast Break. Anchor is the easiest way to make your next podcast. It's absolutely free, and their creation tools will allow you to record and edit your show right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on great podcast outlets like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started on your next podcast.
And we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. If you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It's truly appreciated. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, support, please, or just tell a friend about us if you got a basketball fan in your life. It is truly appreciated. Well, I've been so excited to have this guy on for quite some time, but I know the new baby in his life, that has to take priority. But life is what it is in 2020, so I'm finally glad to get him back on to talk about the Lakers and so much more. It is my good friend, TJ Johnson. You guys knew him from Voice from the Underground, but again, he is also a great part of this show, the Lakers Fast Break. TJ, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, man, brother. I appreciate being able to be back. I appreciate you keeping the seat warm for me. As you know, new baby life plus retail life plus happy wife life equals not a lot of life for me, but that's okay.
But
I'm happy, man.
Well, you've been checking out the games, though.
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh my goodness, I'm excited. It's really, I'm excited about our games. But on the flip side, I kind of wish a lot of the focus was still on other issues.
Of course.
So I'm kind of divided. I'm enjoying my Lakers, but part of me feels like a lot of hearts aren't in it. If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, as both myself and a guy who's been on the show quite frequently, Rafael Barlow from the NBA Draft Junkies, are concerned. We want to, make an emphasis on the focus on that. Plus. We've noted that the NBA kind of drifted away because the games got exciting. We got, heavily involved in the games, and everybody started focusing more on the games and less on the really important issues at hand that need to be addressed and continually addressed that are still out there. I remember your thoughts during those period of times where, it really got bad, and your anger. And you're usually a laid back, usually a very happy-go-lucky person from what I know, and to see that type of emotion from you, I was really dismayed by it. But again, it's for the right reasons, and it's for the fact that things need to be changed in this country, and it needs to be changed for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as long as we're continuing to push the conversation, because for lack of a better terms, one of the better things that's happened with 2020 is that we've had this push. We've had this real strive for some form of equality. And while we're not there, not by any stretch of the imagination, I think that it's important that the conversation is still being had. I think it's important that we're still drawing attention to those issues. But obviously, at some point, talking is not going to be enough. We're going to have to start making some changes and start actually seeing the fruits of said labor. But I'm grateful for the chance that we've had to be able to continue to push the conversation and change a bit of the narrative, if you will. So,
well, it's good to see you, my friend. And again, we do need to go ahead and change the narrative, and go ahead and do what we can to make sure that equality does become more of a part of our country going forward. as I've told people on our previous shows, we need to go ahead, register to vote, make a change, be part of that change, a positive change for the future going forward, and that's what I'd love to see. And I know a lot of other people will as well. I mean, that's what people are out there, peacefully protesting in the streets for, and that's what people are fighting for, and hopefully will continue to fight for quite some time. And with the NBA, is something that they're now doing even more of. And I want to say just the whole thing got caught up because we still saw the ads, we still saw the announcements and the promos, but they were getting less and less as the games were going on, and it took unfortunately something as drastic as the terrible shooting of Jacob Blake for things to be put back into perspective once again. And we're seeing that now even more. They're allowed to go ahead, and the players have gone, like you said, the NBA is allowed, I think, for more descriptive, very specific targeting and messaging, I think, on their shoes, more as far as what they're talking about in their post-game comments. LeBron, for the most part, has been one of the most distinct points of character in this whole conversation continuously, so I give him credit for that. But at least now the NBA realizes that it has to do more than just go ahead and be, on the sidelines saying, okay, here's what we've done. We need to do even more now.
Absolutely. And it's funny. I think about David Stern, and I think about the things that David Stern, the former commissioner of the NBA, the late David Stern, and the things that he had to deal with in his time as commissioner. And then I look at the things that Adam Silver has had to deal with in his very, very brief tenure as the commissioner of the NBA, as far as, you go back to the Clippers, Donald Sterling. Yeah. Yes. I mean, that was the start. I mean, he wasn't hot in the seat yet before he had to go deal with that. And it seems like it's been one after the other. But what I can appreciate about Adam Silver is that he's handled each issue with grace. He's handled each issue as best as he's been able to at the time being, and he's the first person to admit that he doesn't have all the answers, and he's not sure. He doesn't come off as an arrogant, as to say, well, this is what it is and this is what it's going to be, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a fluid issue. This is an ongoing issue. It's something that's not going to be resolved with one conversation, 2 conversations, 10 conversations. This is going to take legitimate change. This is going to take legitimate effort. This is going to take legitimate restructuring. And kudos to him for doing whatever he can, and the owners as well, for trying to figure out ways to keep basketball going, keep something happening, kind of give America something to think about and something else to talk about. And I'm okay with having a bit of a distraction as long as it doesn't become the focus and we lose sight of what's really important. I'm okay with some brevity. I'm okay with some air. I'm okay with breathing. But we can't lose focus on the fact that there are still very, very real issues that we as a country are dealing with, and that we have to continue to figure out a way to navigate and move past and move forward through. So kudos to Adam Silver for what he's done. And like I said, I'm excited the basketball is back. I just don't want it to become the focus again.
Yeah, and I understand that. That's very, very point indeed, because obviously what's going on in our country at this point in time. But there is still, as we've seen, I mean, these games we're coming right down to the wire. It's hard not to keep the focus on it. I mean, yesterday, the day before, I mean, all close games. We're seeing it. Adam Silver, while he was obviously very concerned with where the season was going because of the lockout or because of the players deciding not to play, he's got to be a little bit happier now that he's got the players back on the court, playing close games the way he would have liked to design it. I'm sure he would say, I would have liked to have designed it like this, but it's still very, very good because it's there. It's not blowouts. It's not something that people are just going, I'm going to turn the channel. These are really close games that we're having right now.
Yes, they are. I mean, if you look at the Denver-Utah series, was just incredible. Jamal Murray playing against Spider-Man, Don Mitchell. It was just an incredible series. It was an incredible game. Went down to the wire, literally down to a last shot that just went out. It's exciting to know where the future of the NBA is going to be. Obviously, as a Laker fan, we're here right now. We're looking at the LeBron, we're looking at the Anthony Davis duo, and thinking, okay, we got a championship in sight here. This is something that could actually happen, especially with Milwaukee going down 0-2 right now. I'm not saying yay, but I'm saying interesting.
Yes.
But saying all that, saying that, it's an awesome thing to see exciting basketball again. You know, I think that's one of the things that people can say about the NBA is that there's a point in time, and it's usually right after the All-Star break, where things get a little bit of a malaise, and you kind of just, it's like the dog days of summer, right? You're kind of trying to just make it through till you get to the playoffs. And what we've been able to experience here is a playoff-like atmosphere from the jump. And that's kind of exciting. So being able to see these games, I really do wish that there was a way they could have more fan interaction, maybe pump sound into the arena, more so like the MLB is looking to do. And I think even the NFL is going to look at putting more crowd sound into the arena, giving it that feeling still, because I think that's something that's extremely important to these players and trying to give them a sense of normalcy in their environment. We look at it from a standpoint of, oh my goodness, you guys are locked in Disney. But they're looking at it from the standpoint of we're locked someplace that we've never had to be, we've never had to be locked up before. We've never had to be quarantined to a specific place. I don't have my family. I don't have the luxuries that I've gotten to enjoy outside of this bubble, if you will. There are a lot of things that are still playing against the players. I know we give players like Paul George a lot of crap because he talks about how he was just in a really bad place, and I think he was going through something with his girlfriend or whomever. I don't know. But, people like to give him crap because he was just all mentally distraught. And, we say, oh, you guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to go play a game. Like, just go play your game. And I get it. I'm from Chicago. We have a pick yourself up by your bootstraps if you have to and get back to work mentality. I understand that. But there is something to be said for mental fatigue. There's something to be said for mental anxiety, anguish, things of that nature that I'm sure these players are dealing with to a degree. So I'm excited that once the ball gets tossed in the air and we're live, that becomes the focus for that particular time. And it's been some really, really, really exciting basketball. James Harden hitting who would have thought that the clip that we're talking about for James Harden isn't him scoring, it's him getting a block to save the game. Who would have thought that that's something that we'd be talking about in 2020? I mean, it's already been a topsy-turvy year as is, and now we're looking at a James Harden highlight that doesn't include him scoring. It's kind of just an incredible time to be a fan of the NBA right now.
Absolutely, my friend. It is, and with James Harden's block of Lou Dort of Oklahoma City, just saving the day for Houston as they move on to the next round against the Lakers. And let's talk about that real quick, and let's focus in on that because it does start tomorrow, Lakers and the Rockets. So we have tall ball versus small ball per se, and this is going to be a very interesting chess match indeed. So we have the situation where we have Mike D'Antoni is all in on it. It's not going to change. Not going to see any really Tyson Chandler out there going ahead and providing any beef because he's really not going to be doing that anymore. It's going to be all 6-7 and under league for Houston.
Yep.
And that's going to be providing a problem for the Lakers. But how much, I'm not so sure. So I want to hear your thoughts on that because they provide a unique matchup. They did get the upper hand on the Lakers during the course of the season. I'm not sure it's going to fall that way at this time, but it's still going to be very intriguing as we move along.
Absolutely agreed. I think if we have not mentioned this enough on this podcast in particular, we've talked about the deficiencies that the Lakers have. And one of the key deficiencies that the Lakers have happens to be a very key strength that the Houston Rockets have, and that's their guard play. The perimeter is going to be attacked, and we are, I don't want to say we're hurting, but our lack of perimeter defense is going to become evident. And if these guys are hitting shots, they're going to be a problem for us. Obviously, as we've seen throughout the course of the regular season, the perimeter play has been a problem for the Lakers. Now, having said that, we are in the playoffs now, and typically in the playoffs, the game gets a lot slower. Get more possessions. Less possessions, but you're spending more time on the clock. You're taking the ball. You're slowing the tempo down, and that absolutely plays into the Lakers' hands. So the key for the Lakers is going to be continuing to control the tempo, and they're going to be able to control the tempo by controlling the glass. They're going to need to be able to force stop them from getting any offensive boards. Continue just to maintain their pace and allow LeBron to back down and penetrate, attack the rim, and hopefully get some guys to hit some jump shots. That's kind of important in the NBA, and these Lakers have to consistently do that. And that's one of the things that they've had a big problem with. Now, you look at, again, James Harden, you look at Westbrook, who's still not, I know he's still working his way back from that injury, and he's still not 100%. It's not going to be 100% yet. But because of that, the Lakers are going to have a much, much better chance. But I will tell you, I was definitely hoping to play OKC as opposed to Houston. If I'm the Lakers, I was definitely looking at playing OKC. I'd have preferred that much more.
Absolutely. And so would I. I think the Lakers match up a little bit better against OKC. But it is Houston. It is something that we're going to have to take a look at. And you're right. It all depends on how well they can guard Russell Westbrook and, of course, James Harden. If they can limit them to the opportunities of not being able to have their way. And that's what I'm hoping that will happen going forward, is that they will not go ahead and dominate. If they're just average or less than average, then obviously that's the best thing for the Lakers. If you can go ahead and have a day like James Harden did yesterday, just making sure that the other guys are not hitting as many threes. I think that's because that's all they want to do, is they want to hit threes. So if you can just go ahead and defend the perimeter, at least make every effort to go ahead and contest the threes without putting a hand on the side, a.k.a. Giannis Antetokounmpo, as we saw last night. You can't have that hand on the side, as he comes down.
That was a tough foul, man. I can't believe they called that. I really can't.
Well, we discussed that last night. I think it's a makeup call by Mark Davis for the first call against Goran Dragic, who was just straight up and hands up on that 3-pointer by Middleton. And I think that was just a makeup call, personally, because one bad call, he made it up with another bad call. So it's simple as that. So
yeah. I guess there's a time and place for everything, and at that particular juncture in the game, brother, I'll tell you what, I'm sure that particular referee was excited that there are no fans in the stands right now.
Yeah.
Because they would have heard it as if they didn't already hear from the players, but they would have heard it something fierce. They'd had to give them a security escort out the building, because that was egregious. That was pretty bad.
Absolutely. But then again, no crowd. Well, the crowd's only virtual, so really you can't say much from there. They're really a non-factor at this point in time. So It was just, it was one bad call made up by another bad call. So
absolutely.
But once again, I'm talking to TJ Johnson. He's right here for us, right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But still, my friend, there's a little bit more to discuss. So I want to hear your thoughts as we go forward. I know, as being a Lakers fan, as I am, I know there's a strong will to go ahead and choose the Lakers. I think the predominant picks right now have the Lakers going in 6. I don't hear as many people citing for the Rockets this time around as, let's say, the last round, when a lot of people were already having the Trailblazers pass up the Lakers. I know a lot of people were picking the Trailblazers last round. I don't hear as many picking the Rockets in this round. Maybe it's because they went to a full 7. They think the Lakers are going to get up early. I think that's the key. If the Lakers can go ahead and get up early, they can go ahead and finish this off rather quickly. I don't think it's going to be as easy, though. I'm going to say 6 games. What do you have? I have the Lakers in 6. What do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you. I think the Lakers in 6. I think what's going to benefit them is, obviously, we know that the Rockets like to run transition basketball. They just went to a 7-game series. So you can say as much as you want to say about the playoffs. They're going to wear you down. And if they go to a 7-game series against that team, against OKC, as the way that they did, now they got to walk into a Lakers team that's had a lot of time to rest. They only had a 5-game series, so they've had a lot of time to rest, a lot of time to rejuvenate and catch their wind. And granted, again, they're not as winded as they would normally be under a regular season condition. However, you still got an opportunity to catch your break, still got an opportunity to take care of any nagging issues. And, as far as I'm concerned, the more rest we can get for Anthony Davis, the better off we're going to be. He is really going to be the catalyst and the key to this series and to this championship run, to be quite frankly with you. As potent and as powerful as and talented as LeBron James has proven to be in year 17 of his NBA career, at the age of 35, will be 36 in December. He's not enough. It's not enough. You know, his shot is much improved over the 17 years, but it's still not automatic. Obviously, his free throws, career 60 to 70% free throw shooter. He's just not enough anymore. And when you look at what Houston brings in regards to their talent, again, Westbrook, Harden, and we're just talking about Westbrook and Harden. There's still about 6 or 7 players who can give you buckets on any given night. It's going to be really, really important for Kyle Kuzma to continue his defensive dominance that he showed over that first series. He's been playing terrific defense, and it's going to be key to see if he can continue to do so for this series. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, buddy. I think this series is going to go to 6 games, maybe 5, but I'm definitely leaning towards 6-game series. Obviously, Lakers on top, but 6-game series.
Well, there you go. And it is something that we're going to keep an eye on as we go forward. I mean, the Clippers, they start up tonight, and they're most likely going to have some sort of success against the Denver Nuggets. I see them winning in 5 games personally. I don't think it's going to be too difficult a time for them. Just think that they match up well against either Denver or Utah, whoever would have come out of that. So I think it's really going to be imperative for the Lakers to try and finish off Houston as fast as possible, because I think there's an inevitable meeting coming up in the Western Conference Finals between these two teams.
Yes, there is. We would have called this, if they were still playing in the Staples Center, the locker room showdown, or the down the, I don't know what they call that, down the corridor, down the hallway matchup, or whatever they call it. But that'd have been fun to see in Staples Center. I'd have been interested to see how it turns, and if it would still be pro Laker, even if it's a quote unquote Clipper home game. It's just, again, the Lakers are always going to be Los Angeles. The Clippers they're always cute, right? They're always those guys. They're cute. It's Clippers, but it's still Lake Show all the way.
Clippers fans are smart, because they would have sold their playoff tickets to the Lakers fans and watched it at home on their 80-inch TV with mountains of $100 bills in their hand, because they sold it off to some guy, whatever record producer who had to see the game,
right?
Yeah, who couldn't catch it as an LA home game, so he spent $3,000 on a ticket just to catch it, like in the 17th or 18th row.
Yep, gotta love LA, man. And they're able to charge those prices. That's just what they do.
There you go. StubHub, I think, is the real loser of this series.
Goodness gracious, yes they are.
This is Raphael from NBADraftJunkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
The better that these Marvel films do, the higher the standards are going to be for not just other films in general, but other Marvel films also.
I think it's really hard to end a show with this many fans in a satisfying way.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse.
Playing worldwide on radio 7 days a week and wherever you get your podcasts. Hey Lakers fans! Looking for the best place to go for up-to-date news, information, original videos, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces, and discussions about the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, look no further than Lakerholics.com. With a legion of followers always there talking about everything Lakers and the NBA, there's no better place to go to share your fandom as the team heads toward another championship run. So stop by and be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.com.
Once again, I'm speaking to my good friend TJ Johnson. Just a pleasure talking to you as always, my friend. But before we head on out, I want to hear your thoughts one last time on the fight that continues and the reasons why that we should be cognizant of ourselves and our future going forward, because there needs to be more equality in this country, and because so much has gone wrong in 2020 and previous years in regards to systemic racism. Why, in your opinion, do you think we need to go ahead and still continue this fight? Because obviously the reasons are right out there for it.
Yeah, actually, there's not much that I really need to say. You can look out the window and see it. You can turn on the news and see it. You can flip to the latest feeds through Instagram and Facebook and all of them and see the reasons. You know, we're not out of this yet. And the other hard truth to it is that it's going to be much more prevalent from the standpoint of we have the ability to instantly obtain data. We have the ability to instantly put out data as well. So this is stuff that's been, you know, let's not make any mistakes about it or qualms about it. This is stuff that's been going on for years and years and years. This is not new. Nothing here is new. It's just the fact that we have the ability to show it now. We have the ability for people to see it. I think what's important is that we recognize the fact that we are at a point in history where you're going to have not winners and losers, because truthfully, we're all losers in this right now. You know, I think America just looks bad in this situation. But we're at a point in history where we have the real ability to affect change. Obviously, we have the upcoming election that we have the ability to help facilitate change. But I think the truth of the matter is you can have a lot of people. You have a lot of people who are seeing the way the world is going. You have a lot of people. You have a lot of the young generation, not the Gen X's. I don't know what generation they're calling them. Like there's millennials, there's Gen Xers, Gen Xers. I don't know the generation before or later. But they're seeing and they're understanding and they're seeing the hurt and they're seeing the frustration and they're seeing things that they don't want to have to deal with. I'm praying that, you know, if we don't see the change, that we spark the fire that starts the change. You know, it's just important that we don't give up the fight. And I think it's more important right now that we make sure that we exercise our right to vote. I think not voting in this particular election is just one of the worst things you can do. Not voting is almost as bad as just voting for Trump. As far as I'm concerned, it's almost just that egregious. The fact that, you know, we've had ancestors who have fought and died. As a black man, we have ancestors who's fought and died for the opportunity to vote, and to vote during situations like this where, you know, our world is dependent on it. I think we have a civil service, we have a civil responsibility to do our part. So there's a lot that still needs to change. Obviously, we could spend a whole nother podcast talking about that. But what's important is that we continue the fight, we continue the conversation, we continue the movement. We don't allow people to take what's happening and spin it. The truth of the matter is, you know, it's not that us saying or anybody saying Black Lives Matters means that no other lives matter. That's not what anybody is saying. What they're saying is that, hey, they matter too. Black lives matter. And I think when people take the political aspect of it, or this ideology that it's a movement that's not really helping, or that, you know, we're looking at Black being supreme, like that's not it. We just want to be. We just want to have a seat at the table. We just want to be equal. We just want to be able to do what we came to do. You know, we want our fair shot, just like anybody else. That's it. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and we could go on and on and on and on. But
there you go. No, but couldn't have said it better myself right there for you. Once again, it's my good friend TJ Johnson. I'll tell you what, I want you back on the show as soon as you're able to. I know your schedule is very tough, but if you're able to squeeze a little bit of time, I need you coming back on the show as soon as you're able to talk the Lakers, pop culture as always, and even more. But my friend, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And again, hopefully everybody out there will do their part in trying to go ahead and make this a better world. And it starts with your vote come November.
Amen. Amen, brother. Appreciate it.
You got it, my friend. I wish you well. Continued success to you. So happy that you're, again, part of Pop Culture Cosmos. And, of course, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.